Hello, everyone. Thanks for your love and support in my battle against cancer. The battle continues, and I might have lost some body parts in the fight, but the gain in terms of personal growth is tremendous. This adversity has given me an opportunity to see life from a very different perspective. This series of talks is my attempt to share my learnings from the health crisis. Hope it adds value to your life, which in turn will make me a very happy man. So let's begin. I'm calling this series of talks Turning Adversity into Opportunity because I sincerely believe every adversity offers an opportunity to learn, opportunity to change, opportunity to grow as a person. I have divided this into three parts. The first part is timeline, how I was living a normal life and was hit with a full blown health crisis. Second part is about things I did before crisis unknowingly that helped me survive. And the third part is summary of learnings from the crisis. Based on the learnings, I have created a framework. I call it a framework for life. I use this framework extensively to deal with day-to-day challenges. Let's begin from 2012. I was working hard in Silicon Valley, California as a software development manager. I was trying to make world a better place, as you can see, working really hard. In 2013, I decided to make a big change. I moved from California to Florida to be a professional golfer. This was one of the best decisions of my life. First 2 years were really great. I loved going to the golf course and enjoyed working every day and trying to improve my game. In 2015, unfortunately, I started having lower back pain. I saw a whole lot of specialists to help me resolve the issue. Orthopedic doctors, chiropractors, physical therapists, Ayurveda, but the issue wouldn't go away. I would get temporary relief and go back to the golf course, work for a few days, but then the pain will come back and I had to take a break again. Everything else was good, but this lower back pain was stopping my progress. In 2018, I was still struggling with lower back pain and decided to build muscles, hoping that will help me with my golf game and will also give me some relief from the lower back pain issue. Everything else was great. I felt like I'm in best shape of my life. In September of 2019, the pain started coming towards the abdomen from lower back. At that point, I finally decided to see a gastroenterologist. He did an endoscopy and found a polyp or a small tissue in my small intestine and sent it to the lab for further test. Results came back saying that it was benign or harmless, but it had neuroendocrine tumor cells. The doctor said that since this is related to endocrine system, it's possible that I might have some more pieces elsewhere in my body and recommended a full body scan, something called a PET-CT scan. In December of 2019, the day after Christmas, I got a call from my GI doctor telling me that I have neuroendocrine cancer. It's a rare cancer and 95% cases are found by accident. So was my case too. Steve Jobs is one of the famous person who struggled with this cancer. In my case, the cancer was behind pancreas. There was a big piece and it had metastasized, meaning it had started spreading and it had spread to lymph nodes. But the good news was that it was still in one location, and the GI doctor said that I need to go for a surgery, and he recommended me to a surgical oncologist. In Feb of 2020, I went through something called Whipple procedure to remove the tumor. It's a very complicated surgery, and surgeon has to remove part of stomach, part of pancreas, entire gallbladder, part of small intestine and the surrounding lymph nodes, and then has to stitch rest of the pieces together. So it takes about 6 to 7 hours. Mine was 7 hours too. But since there are so many organs involved, this surgery has 40% chance of complications. So for me, the good news was that during the surgery, they were able to get all the tumor pieces out, but I ended up having lots of post-op complications. I had infections, I had leaks, and I was in full-blown health crisis mode. I ended up spending 35 days in ICU, and because of infections and leaks, I couldn't take anything through mouth, no food or water, and I had to survive on IV nutrition, something called TPN. I ended up losing 45 pounds, was really weak, and because of infections and leaks, I had to constantly go to the hospital. So I was constantly in and out of hospital, and all this was in middle of pandemic. So this was really a testing time. And from there on, things kept getting worse. I spent pretty much entire year from there after the surgery going in and out of hospital. And in March of 2021, I developed life-threatening blockages around my liver and pancreas. So the surgeon said that they had to redo the entire Whipple procedure. And on 4th of March 2021, I went through my second surgery, which was again for 7 hours. I call this day as rock bottom because I barely survived that night. I still remember that whole night vividly. I woke up around 11 p.m. and due to COVID restrictions, hospital did not allow visitors to stay overnight. So my wife had to leave around 9 p.m. So when I woke up, I was all by myself and I was in excruciating pain. I asked doctor for some more pain meds and he said he has given me maximum amount possible. And there was a risk of my heart stopping if he gave me any more. So he asked me to fight through it. I was passing in and out due to pain, and my whole life was sort of flashing in front of my eyes. I thought this was it. And I was telling myself, okay, it's fine. We had a very blessed life. We had great family, great friends, and a decent career, and so on. But one thing that kept bothering me was that I haven't traveled enough around the globe with my wife. She had to make a lot of sacrifices to take care of me, especially in 2020, because we didn't want to seek help during COVID, and she took it upon herself to take care of me. My immune system was extremely weak, and we were afraid that if I catch COVID, then it would probably be a death sentence for me. So she worked extra hard to take care of me. And all those sacrifices started flashing in front of my eyes. And I told myself that I had to fight through this. Somehow the night went by, and in 9 a.m. morning, she came and I saw her, and I was just so happy to see her. So I guess the lesson here is that always remember the sacrifices your loved ones make for you. Don't take it for granted. It might save your life one day. It certainly did for me. So this is 1 month after rock bottom. I started moving around again, and my wife and I started discussing changes we need to make as part of the recovery process. Before we get to that, let's talk about things I did before the crisis, unknowingly, which I believe helped me survive it. First one is trying to improve my mental game to be a successful golfer. So there were times when I was injured and I was out of action, so I'll spend a lot of time researching how to improve my mental game. During one of those times, I came across this book, Thinking Fast and Slow by Dr. Kahneman. This is one of the best books I have ever read and I highly recommend it. It helped me understand how thoughts pop up in our head, why certain thoughts come to our mind at certain times, and how to manage them. I believe this was key in stress management during the crisis because I had to juggle with so many things like COVID and a whole lot of other things. And this knowledge was very helpful in stress management, and I believe was one of the key factors which helped me survive the crisis. Second one was strength training and building muscles. So, like I mentioned before, in 2018, I focused a lot on building muscles because I thought it will help me with my golf game and will also help me with my lower back issue. So, Whipple is an extremely complicated procedure and it ends up causing a lot of scar tissues and tissue damages. Because of all those damages, for most people, a second surgery is not an option. In my case, I was able to go through second surgery because I had a decent muscular strength. And second surgery saved my life. So, if I did not have enough muscular strength, I would not be able to go through second surgery. Also, more muscles means more blood volume. And higher blood volume gives body capacity to fight infections and also helps with the recovery process. So having more muscles helped in many ways for me to go through the second surgery and fight infections and get better. So all in all, this was also one of the key factors I was able to survive this crisis. And the third thing was reducing refined sugar. So in 2016, my wife and I worked on my diet. We were trying to figure out what can I do better to become a better athlete and also what will help me with my lower back pain. So we figured that my sugar intake is really high and I need to drastically cut down refined sugar, especially Indian sweets. So I developed some good habits around that and tried to maintain them for a long time. When I look back, my cancer had metastasized, the tumor had metastasized, so it was growing, and sugar helps tumor grow faster. So drastically reducing this refined sugar definitely slowed down tumor growth, and I believe that was one of the key factors in helping me survive the crisis. Alright, so let's get into changes my wife and I made after rock bottom. Based on those changes and also based on my learnings from the crisis, I have sort of created a framework. I call this a framework for life, and I use this framework extensively pretty much every day to work through a lot of things. So the way I see life, we all have sort of two major buckets or goals. We have goals on the personal side of life. We all want to live a healthy, happy, and blessed life. Now, I understand healthy, happy, and blessed is very subjective. It means different things to different people. But for the time being, let's just say that's our goal in personal life. We all want to live a healthy, happy, and blessed life. And also, no matter what we do, we have stressors in life. So most of us want to manage day-to-day problems, stress, and once in a while, life will throw a full-blown crisis at us. So we want to manage that too. On the other side, we all have professional life goals. We have skills and we do jobs based on that. In our professional life, we want to play our A game every day. We want to do the best we can. Also, we want to enhance current skills so we can do our jobs better. Plus, we want to add new skills so we all can grow professionally and live up to our potential. So those are sort of the two buckets the way I see life. Now, what do we need to accomplish these goals? We need great mental health, we need good physical health, and we need skills. We need skills for both personal life and we need skills for professional life. I believe there are 7 pillars. If we work on these pillars every day, little by little, it will go a long way in having a great mental health, good physical health, and we will learn skills faster, which in turn will help us accomplish our goals. So, what are those 7 pillars? The first one is thoughts. This is absolutely the key in my mind for everything we do in life. Why? Because no matter what we do, thoughts keep popping up in our head. And no matter what we do, thoughts will generate feelings. Once we have feelings, it will result in some kind of behavior. And that behavior will become habit. And we human beings are some of our habits. So that's why thoughts are absolutely critical, and understanding how thoughts come to our mind and how to manage them is really the key. This is so important in my head that I have to say this in Hindi too. So for all my non-Hindi speaking friends, please forgive me and please bear with me for a minute. तो मुझे जो भी समझ में आया अभी तक, सारी कहानियाँ आकर के रुकती है विचारों पे। जैसे जैसे विचार आएंगे वैसी सोच बनेगी, और जैसी सोच वैसी दृष्टि, जैसी दृष्टि वैसी सृष्टि। जैसी सोच बनेगी वैसा ही दिखेगा, और जैसा दिखेगा वैसा ही हमारे आसपास का संसार बनेगा। और सोच बनेगी विचारों से। तो विचारों को समझना, कैसे विचार आते हैं हमारे दिमाग में और कैसे उन्हें मैनेज करना है, वो मेरे ख्याल से बहुत ही ज़रूरी है। Alright, I feel better. So, how do thoughts come to our mind? There are two kinds of system that generate thoughts in our mind. One is a very fast automated system, it's called system 1, and one is a slow conscious system called system 2. So, what automated system does is it's active all the time. It has unlimited bandwidth. All the time it will be generating some kind of thought. It's effortless, and most of the time thoughts are based on our memory. Also, it can be programmed by the conscious system or system 2. On the other hand, the slow moving system or conscious system has limited bandwidth. It takes a lot of effort for the conscious system to work, but it's needed for learning new skills. It's also responsible for self-control. So I think one good example will be, for example, if we are talking to someone, having a conversation with someone, and at the same time, if you are looking at a TV screen with no volume, so what you're doing is you are using your system 2 or conscious mind to engage with that person in the conversation, while your automated system or system 1 is actually paying attention to what's on the TV screen. Most of the time, your automated system will be able to process what's on the TV screen, and you will be able to do the 2 tasks. But then there are 2 things that will happen. That could happen. Like, for example, if there is something on the TV screen and your automated system cannot process, then it will try to engage your conscious mind. You will stop the conversation you are having with the person, and you will say, okay, hold on, I need to listen to that. And you probably will turn up the volume and try to understand what's going on the TV. On the other hand, because system 2 has limited bandwidth, at some point you may not be able to conduct the conversation. You probably will get tired of talking or listening. But at the same time, you can watch the TV for hours and hours because your system 1 is always active. The automated system is always active. It will keep processing it. So that is sort of one good example of how these 2 systems work. And based on both sides, you will be generating thoughts constantly. like what you're seeing on the TV. Your memory will be active. You'll be generating some kind of thoughts. You'll be generating some kind of feelings subconsciously. A lot of people say it subconsciously, but that's your automated system's response. At the same time, based on the conversation you're having with the other person, you'll be generating some thoughts and you'll be having some kind of feelings. So this is sort of an example of how thoughts pop up, how we start feeling, and your behavior, our behavior keeps changing based on those thoughts. Now, the other good thing to remember is that system 2 has more self-control. So, for example, if someone says something unpleasant to you, then from your memory there will be a lot of thoughts, and your automated system would want to have for you to have a response to that unpleasant thing. But then your system 2 will come in and say, no, we need to be polite, or we need to do something else. So that self-control part will get activated. So that's also really, really important to understand, like how both the systems generate thoughts, and also system 2 has sort of control over system 1. But again, system 2 has limited bandwidth. So when we are in high stress, or when we are in fight or flight response, system 2 will try to take over, and we will be very active. We will be trying to solve that stressor or whatever is causing that stress. But because of the limited bandwidth, we will run out of system 2 at some point, and our response will change. That's why different people deal with stress differently. So that's why I keep saying thoughts are absolutely critical, and how thoughts come to our mind pretty much define our lives, because we will generate those feelings, we'll have behavior, and we will have habits. We may form good habits, we may form bad habits, and our mental health, our physical health, everything will be impacted by that, which will ultimately impact our goals. The next big pillar is, of course, diet. So, for diet, it's true, we are what we eat, but based on all my work and also my learnings, I feel that when not to eat is way more critical than how often to eat or what to eat. So paying attention to when not to eat is really important. Why? Because there are two important components, two important systems in our body when it comes to diet: the GI tract and the endocrine system. Now, GI tract has a lot of organs around it, stomach, liver, pancreas, and so on. And endocrine system is also associated with a lot of organs. So these organs never repair themselves unless they're resting. So the best way for us to keep these organs healthy is to let them rest and repair, right? So how do we do that? By intermittent fasting. So not eating for 14 to 15 hours is absolutely critical to keep these organs healthy, and also to keep the GI tract and endocrine system efficient. So it's not just keeping them healthy, but also efficiency goes down if you use them often. It's like any other in any machine. The more you use it, there will be more wear and tear. But in this case, not only there will be wear and tear, the efficiency will also go down. So it's also when not to eat is absolutely important and critical. And then the question comes, how often to eat? Well, what happens is when we eat, it takes about 2 hours for the food to get to the blood. So the blood glucose level will go up in about 2 hours, or peaks in about 2 hours. And then it takes another 2 hours for it to come back to normal before you started eating, to the baseline, right? So if you eat again within that 4-hour window, so say if it's if you ate and then you eat again in 2 hours, the blood glucose level has just peaked, and then there will be another spike. So you will never let it come back to the baseline, and because there will be more glucose in the blood, then the endocrine system has to release insulin, and then it will be converted to triglycerides or fat, and it will be stored as fat in the body. So eating in 4 hours apart in 9 to 10 hours window is the most efficient way of eating based on my learnings. So when not to eat is critical. How often to eat? 4 hours apart. Also, it's important to note that obviously snacking is bad, but if we drink some liquid, say for example, if we have tea with milk within that 4 hour window, the whole machinery has to start over again. The only thing that does not require the machinery to work, so to speak, is water. So 4 hours apart in 9 to 10 hours window and just water in between is how often we should eat. Then comes what to eat. So a good diet based on my learnings is obviously no refined sugar, low carbs, moderate protein, moderate fat, high fiber, high probiotics, high omega-3. So that is sort of a plate we should make. So make sure when we eat, you have sort of covered all these pieces. Also, make the plate very colorful. The more color you have, obviously, the more microbiomes you will be consuming, and it will help It will help with immune system and so on, and a lot of other things. So, no refined sugar, low carbs, moderate protein, moderate fat, high fiber, high probiotics, high omega-3. Make sure you eat all colors. Plus, pay attention to whether you are eating alkaline or acidic food. A stomach has a pH of 2, so it's more acidic. And most of our food which we feel is delicious or tasty is actually acidic. So that's why it's very important to consume enough alkaline food to sort of restore that pH balance. Excuse me. Then, order of eating is also very critical. Why? Because, again, like I said, stomach has pH of 2, it's very acidic. If we eat carbs and sugar first, they dissolve really fast and it will be released immediately. But if we eat complex food like fiber, protein and nutrients first, then the stomach will take time to dissolve that and release it to the intestines and from there to the blood. So one good thing to do is focus on the order of eating. Fiber, protein and nutrients first, then fat, and then in the end consume your favorite carb and sugar. Finally, there are few things which are missing from most of our diets today. Based on my understanding and learning, I feel there are 4 important things which are missing from most diets. What are those? Collagen. We don't have enough collagen in our diet, which is actually causing a lot of intestine issues. Creatine, which helps with muscle mass. Omega-3 and iron. So please make sure that you cover these essentials in your diet. Third important pillar is breath. So what I learned was that exhale is way more important than inhale. Reason being, 70% of toxins from our body are actually released through breathing, remaining 30% through bowel movement, urination, and sweating. So most of the toxins are actually coming out through breathing or through exhale. And most of us don't exhale properly. We focus on inhaling, but exhale is actually way more critical. Also, we exhale CO2, right? So carbon dioxide is not good for organs. So if we don't exhale properly, we are actually going to hold more CO2 in our body, which is actually bad for organ health. So exhaling is exhaling properly is really important. It's also important for weight loss. CO2 is heavier than oxygen, so when we exhale well, we are actually releasing more weight from our body. Other key thing to note is that when we exercise, most people think that if we are sweating, we are actually losing weight through sweating and urination. But again, while exercising also, we actually lose way more weight through exhale. Actually, 80 to 85% of weight loss happens through lungs or through breathing. So, exhaling properly is really key for multiple reasons. Other important thing when it comes to breathing is less is more. So, slow breathing actually is really important because it uses the system way more efficiently compared to breathing faster. So, what's an optimum breath? 5.5 seconds of inhale and 5.5 seconds of exhale is the most optimum breath for our body. Finally, breathing through nose is way more efficient than mouth breathing. Kapalbhati is one of the good techniques I like. It focuses a lot on exhale, and it's really good for cleansing the lungs. And it doesn't take long to practice it every day. So that is something you all can look into. Fourth important pillar is meditation. So, like we just talked, we release a lot of physical waste through breathing, bowel movement, urination, and sweating. But we also accumulate a lot of mental waste because there are just so many thoughts coming to our mind every day, and we go through a lot of stressors, we have worries, day to day issues, and so on. So there is a lot of mental waste which we accumulate. So, what's the best way to get rid of that mental waste? The whole body has a proper system to release physical waste, but there is no proper way of releasing mental waste. Meditation is the best way to get rid of mental waste. Meditation is a big topic like the other three we discussed. But what I found interesting was that it's important to understand what kind of meditation will work for you. There are thousands of meditation techniques, but I think it's important to understand the core difference. So for some people, inward meditation works better. What does that mean? Closing our eyes and focusing on our breath, thoughts, or just observing the thoughts. So focusing inward is what works for most people. But also for some people, if we have like too many thoughts popping in, opening eyes and focusing something outward, like an object in front of you or object far away, instead of focusing inward, works better. So figuring out what kind of a person you are or what you are struggling with, and whether you need to focus inward or outward, is actually more important. And then you can look into what meditation technique will work for you. For me personally, Vipassana is what I like and what I practice, and it does wonders for me. The next big pillar is exercise. So, when it comes to exercise, before you start exercising, I think it's really important to understand what you're trying to accomplish and what is your personality. What do I mean by that? So, there are three main areas, three different ways of exercising. You can do strength training, you can do hypertrophy, or you can do endurance. What do each of them mean? So, strength training is when you push yourself to your maximum capacity. So, when you are exercising at 85 to 100% of your capacity and you are doing less reps. Hypertrophy is when you are actually exercising at 65 to 75% of your capacity and you are doing moderate reps. And endurance training is about 30% of capacity with more reps. So a good example will be strength training is like a 100-meter dash. You are going to do only few reps, but you are putting all your effort into 100 meters. Hypertrophy is more like a 2K or a 5K kind of run, where you are going to do more reps and you're going to work on capacity, but you're not pushing yourself to the maximum limit. And then endurance training is like half marathon or a marathon, where you actually use only 30 to 35% of your capacity, but you're going to do it for a long, long time. So understand what's your personality, what kind of exercise will work best for you. But no matter what you do, you still have to follow three major steps when you exercise. You have to prepare your body, you have to perform or whatever you're trying to accomplish, and then have a proper recovery routine, especially as we get older. So make sure you prepare properly the muscles before you actually push them, then do whatever you plan to do, and then also have a very good recovery process, not only through stretching but also through diet and sleep. Sixth important pillar is sleep. So there are a lot of things, lot of aspects of sleep which we need to understand. And let's first start with the physical benefits. So the most important thing to understand is our body does all the repair during sleep. So if you don't get proper sleep, all the damages we do during the day as part of wear and tear, the body does not get a chance to fix them. And over the period of time, obviously the wear and tear will increase and we will have more issues. Also, it's important to realize that growth hormones are released in first 30 minutes of the sleep. So it's important to start to fall asleep in a very rested mode with a relaxed mind, because a lot of growth hormones will be released in the first 30 minutes and tissues get more oxygen and multiply during sleep. So when we work out in the gym, say if you are doing your biceps and triceps, you're actually not building muscles in the gym. You actually build muscles when you sleep. So it's really critical to understand that part. And good sleep is really critical for recovery and repair. The second aspect is our memory creation happens during sleep. So everything we learn during the day becomes permanent when we sleep. So you can see this as a great analogy will be learning during the day is like a flash drive or a USB drive. So you store all the learnings in the USB drive and then you transfer it to hard disk or memory, so to speak, when we sleep. So learning becomes permanent when we sleep and all the memory links are created during sleep. You should get at least 3 REM cycles. Each REM cycle is about 90 minutes and there is a 30-minute break. So 6 hours of sleep is bare minimum. Also make sure that your body is producing enough melatonin hormone. So one of the good ways to produce melatonin is getting proper sunlight or sun exposure. And if you struggle with sleep or insomnia, Yog Nidra is something I found very helpful, especially like in my case, I struggle a lot with sleep because of pain and medication and so on and so forth. So I use this technique a lot. It's very helpful. So I highly recommend Yog Nidra. And last but not the least, the seventh pillar is habits. So it doesn't matter how much knowledge we gain, it doesn't matter if we understand all the other six pillars, unless we form habits and repeat these pieces, we are not going to get results. Because we human beings are sum of habits. We can't do everything in one day. A success is sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. So it's very important to form good habits and break habits. Atomic Habits by James Clear is the best book on understanding how to form good habits and how to break bad habits. So I highly recommend that book. Will give you a very good idea of how to work through habits. He explains one concept really well, which I love. Concept of identity versus process versus outcome. Most of us focus on outcome or processes, but he explains really well, if we want to form good habits, we have to focus more on identity. An identity change will automatically create good processes, and a good process will automatically give us the outcome we are looking for. So that's something to look into. He also talks about a technique called habit stacking. I use this a lot. I actually used to use this unknowingly in 2018 before I read the book, when I used to work out a lot in the gym. So he talks about how to pair what you want to do with what you need to do. So what I used to do was, if I am in not say if I'm slacking or if I'm procrastinating and I don't want to go to gym. So what I will do is, I will put on some of my favorite music, and that music was sort of associated with my routine in the gym. So it will sort of automatically trigger my desire to go to the gym, and once I get into the gym, I will just follow my routine. So I wanted to listen to music, but what I needed to do was work out. So pairing what you want to do with what you need to do, or habit stacking, will actually get you a really good outcome. So look into habits, look into Atomic Habits by James Clear. It will give you a very good understanding of how to form good habits and how to break bad habits. All right, so this is sort of the framework I was talking about. I use this extensively day in and day out. It helps me resolve a lot of issues, work through a lot of my problems, and also helps me get into good mental health if I'm struggling with something, and get into good physical health too, whatever is possible with my constraints. Also, if I'm trying to pick up new skills, I actually these pillars really help. So what I do is, if something is not working out, I do a bottoms up approach. I try to go and see, okay, what are the thoughts popping in my head? Are there more thoughts? Are the thoughts which are not desirable, or so on and so forth? Am I not eating right? Is my exhale not proper? Am I not meditating enough? Is there any exercise I can do? Am I not sleeping well, or are my bad habits creeping in? So I take a bottoms up approach. Invariably, I find the solution and I start getting into better mental health and physical health, and things move forward. So I use this framework quite a bit and take a bottoms up approach. Finally, if one thing I want you all to take away from this, I would say is thought management. Thought management, like I said so many times, is absolutely the key. Understanding how thoughts pop up in our head, why certain thought comes to our mind at certain times, and how to manage them will go a long way in accomplishing our goals. All right, I think this is a good place to stop. I'll let you all absorb this and give me some feedback and process this, and we'll go from there. The In the next talk, I'm thinking about talking about two other areas which had a huge impact, which helped me a lot in last 5 years: pain pleasure balance and gut microbiome. And these are the two books I talked about: Thinking Fast and Slow and Atomic Habits. Highly recommend both of them. Thank you for watching.